Reese Witherspoon? Sure. I don't know if the script she'll ever get to see it. They dig a trench around celebrities. But sure, she could play Sarah. We're talking about the adaptation of Tobit, period. Uh, Reese Witherspoon could play Sarah. Your viewers, there's 1.5 billion people that know the story of Tobit from their religious training. So the demographics are ripe for this film. There's never been a feature-length film. There was a silent like 100 years ago in the 1920s. But these people have the story in their Bible, and even little kids are taught about Sarah. Reese Witherspoon would naturally play Sarah. She is the female protagonist. She is the victim of a demon. Sarah is, in my adaptation, is a nice Jewish girl from a nice Jewish family in London. She's married 7 times, and 7 times a demon comes and kills her new husband before the marriages are even consummated. They don't even make it to the wedding bed. Sometimes the demon kills the groom as fast as he can. Yeah, even little kids know this story. They're 8 or 10 and go to Catholics, Orthodox Christians, Jews. They go to Sunday school, or they learn in synagogue. There was a Jewish girl from the Old Testament. She's married 7 times, and 7 times she's widowed. Now, in my experience, the nuns leave the part out that the weddings were never consummated. But little kids know what a wedding is. Little kids will ask a question, well, what's a widow? And they learn that pretty quick. A woman whose husband's died. Yeah, and even Jews know this story from Jewish lore. Nobody knows their own history better than Jews. So yeah, a lot of attentive public, Jewish people that pay attention. Jewish people that paid attention in school know the story of Sarah. There's a lot of Sarahs. Yeah, you can't change the name of the story to Sarah's 7 weddings, or Tobit it's the Book of Tobit. Her father-in-law is the male lead. He's 80 years old, and he needs to find his son a wife so he can have grandkids. And Tobit has gone blind. So he needs to take care of his family. Tobit made money when he was young and deposited it in London banks. Tobit lives in Amsterdam. Pious Jew, very likable. He prays. He takes care of charities. He risks his own personal safety to take care of others. He's one of the most likable characters in the entire Bible. He sends his son Tobit to London to collect the money. Yeah, they didn't wire money back then, not like they do today. So can you imagine traveling by yourself from Amsterdam to London, across the English Channel, finding the bank, collecting the money, and bringing it back to Amsterdam without getting robbed? Tobit prays for a companion, someone that will go with Toby, his son, to collect the money. So at the same time, Sarah prays to die. and God sends Raphael. Raphael's got two jobs. One, escort Toby to bring back the money, and second, Raphael's job is to dispatch the demon. This demon that's killing Sarah's husband is named Asmodeus, and it's not any big secret. Uh, Raphael is going to save Sarah. Could be Reese Witherspoon. I can see that. She's been married 7 times. And I don't care how old Reese Witherspoon is. She looks 28. She can play Sarah without any problem. Seems to me like it'd be very believable. Reese has a bubbly personality. And we need an actress, a lead female, to play Sarah that has a lot of gravitas. The audience will be familiar with her, but also with that cheerful spirit. Because Sarah's been married 7 times, and you would think she's jaded, worn down. Maybe she is a slight bit, but does she question God? Yeah. I mean, 7 husbands and 7 demonic murders. Does she pray that God will take her life and end this ordeal? Yeah. But does she lose faith in God? No. So she's a fervent believer, and to be married 7 times and your husband be killed. Actually, in the film, she's married 8 times because it's a happy ending, and she finds Toby, and Raphael defeats the demon. This huge fight towards the end of the film in a London street. Raphael wraps up Asmodeus, ties him up, rolls him into a ball of yarn, and rolls him into the Thames, and he sinks. So the special effects and angels versus demons. Just I don't know how long that scene's going to take. 3 minutes with special effects. I think that would probably sell the whole thing. But leading up to that, here is why Sarah is such a compelling character, and Reese would really knock it out of the park. 7 Jewish weddings. And there's not an actress in Hollywood that can touch that. Because if we're going to watch a girl get married 7 times, we better like the bride. We don't care about the mother and father, or the brothers and sisters, or the maids of honor. I'm not sure we even really care about the groom being likable. But that bride has to be likable. It's her day. No, I don't like bridezilla movies where the bride is neutral or maybe a little on the heavy side. Yeah, likability is... If you have a story where likability is demanded, Reese Witherspoon can't be beat. I talked to Larry McMurtry 30 years ago about Lonesome Dove, and I asked him, well, what's the key? And he said, well, we like Gus and Cole. Likability is everything. The 2 main characters. And he freely admitted that's Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. And sure enough, those are in the top 10 most likable characters ever. I'm not sure a movie has ever done justice to the novel Don Quixote, Man of La Mancha. Maybe the stage plays, but it's very hard to capture on film. And one of the reasons is likability. I mean, what actors can portray that likability? That's very hard. Reese Witherspoon could play Sarah because she is the most likable actress. And, there's tens of thousands in Hollywood, and Reese Witherspoon will be at the top of my list. Now, whether her people will let her see the script, who knows? They dig a moat around these celebrities, and the celebrity never sees anything. Yeah, 7 Jewish weddings. Who wouldn't read that script? I send query letters. I send 100 query letters, and 2 come back. One is, I think, a robot, and it says, "We don't read unsolicited material," which basically means they don't even read the query letter. And then there's 1 of 100 that's agents, managers, producers. There's 1 out of 100 that'll say, "Yeah, this sounds really good," and where it is now, it's out there. I have no idea whether they're reading it or they just felt sorry for me and they say they're reading it. I think it's a compelling story. No, it's never been done before. And that is what will make this successful. 1.5 billion people are familiar with the story from print, and they're waiting, and they've been waiting 100 years, their whole life, to see it on film. Why hasn't it been made to film? There's a silent film from the 20s, which I asked a Catholic priest about in Dublin. An Irish Catholic priest said, "Well, isn't it curious the Protestants took the Book of Tobit out of their Bible in 1923, and that's 4 years after the American participation in World War I." And the Catholic priest flat out said, "The American anti-Catholic movement ruined many a film." Because there's 4 or more books in the Bible that are in the Catholic and Orthodox Bibles, but they're not in the Protestant Bibles. So a filmmaker, they think their primary audience are the Protestants because that's who lives across the street from them. But on a global level, Catholicism is the dominant religion. And 70% of the Catholics speak English and won't have to rely on subtitles. I think it's a no-brainer. Reese Witherspoon would be awesome. There's a billion people that can see her, over a billion people that can see her as Sarah. You can see that. And if you can't, you need to read the 8 pages. Take 10 minutes to read that. The original story is set 3,000 years ago when the Jews of northern Israel were kidnapped and taken to Mesopotamia. I said it. I don't think people want to see a story that old. The costumes and so I said it. It's the same story, but it's set in Amsterdam. Tobit lives in Amsterdam, and Reese Witherspoon, Sarah, lives in London. And there's going to be an 8th wedding that's successful because Raphael can take care of her demon problem. And she can be the bubbling bride again. Yeah, she doesn't lose. That's almost the moral of the story. That's half of the moral story that's in the Book of Tobit. Tobit doesn't lose faith. He's blind. He's got financial problems. He's got a son that's not married. His lineage is not going to pass into the next generation unless he finds a suitable wife. Yeah, and then Sarah never loses her lust for life, her optimism, her cheer, and I don't want to wear it out. Reese Witherspoon would be at the top of anybody's list. I hope her people can read this script. 7 Jewish weddings and 7 demonic murders. I'm surprised I'm really surprised the film's not been made. I asked a Lutheran minister why it was removed from the Protestant Bibles, and he said magic. Hollywood is made of magic, industrial light, and magic. Half the films contain magic. I don't think it's that big a deal. Taking a book that's in the Bible and adding, well, we're not adding a lot of magic. It's you'll have to read the Bible, read my script, my adaptation of the 8 pages. It's 98 pages long. I know a guy said, what? Well, read both and email me and I'll send you a copy of the script. And the guy goes, no, what are you doing? You can't send that to everybody. I said, why not? I got to get it out there. He said, they'll steal it. And I said, dude, it's 3,000-year-old story. It's in a 1.5 billion Bibles. Little kids are taught this story from when they're little about the girl who's widowed 7 times. The story's out there. No one's going to steal it. So I think a lot of people are confused. No, I don't mind sending it to anybody. Hit me up, email me. I'll send it to anybody. Or pick up a Bible. Go online and Google the Book of Tobit. There's tons of material. The American bishops have a really cool website that breaks it down chapter by chapter, verse by verse, and explain the whole thing, the reasons, the symbolism, the wisdom. Tobit's one of the most wise characters in the Bible. He gives his grandkids, very good advice, and that's why Tobit is endearing. He's pious. He's charitable. Takes care of people. He takes care of strangers, but mostly he takes care of his family. It's a great family film. I think Disney would love this, except the religious overtones. They're not going to touch anything religious. A Russian guy said, and they believe in the Book of Tobit. It's in the Russian Orthodox Bibles. He said, oh, that's way too controversial. I said, well, I'm an American and controversy sells. Let's have a couple of Protestant protests outside the theaters. That's just only going to make people curious. Protestants won't. They won't care. It's not that big a deal. Tobit is pious. He used to be in the Bible and he's taken out. It's a family story. There's not a Protestant in this country that will protest. Not a single one.